right, Jesse, hit it. Hello and welcome to the Durham Talents Channel. My name is Jesse Durham. Recently on our podcasting channel, we celebrated a milestone. October 2023 is 3 years of using the internet to spread the word that you can become your own banker. So I've personally implemented this concept from the time that I read Nelson's book in 2015. That was my paradigm shift for me. And then, of course, now for several years, we've been coaching and mentoring folks on how to implement this. We write policies for our clients, of course, and we service our clients with regular calls, Zooms, all types of things, of course, to propel them in their journey of becoming their own banker. Well, for 3 years now, though, we've done that by utilizing the internet. That means the podcast, that means the YouTube channel, that means things showing up on social media. So we added that on top of the phone calls that we were having with folks, the in-person meetings that we were having with folks, because I believe it's a great resource. I believe it's a great library of our best practices, lessons learned, the nuts and bolts, the nitty gritty of infinite banking. It is the infinite banking concept. So here's a collection of some highlights. This episode that we're releasing today, it's going to be some of the high points. We recently released a bloopers because if you do a year of podcasting, there are going to be some flops. There are going to be some bloopers. There are going to be some funny moments. We've recently released that. And this is a highlights episode. We do pay attention. I look at the analytics. I pay attention to which episodes reach the most folks or cause the most interaction. I want to know what points of interest you have in particular. And of course, we handle the vast majority of that one-on-one, having free consultation calls with our prospective clients, with our current clients. But of course, we can broadcast this information in a big way by using the internet, and we do that. So here are some of the highlights of this past year. And it was really interesting to me to see that some episodes from 2 years ago were still so very interesting and relevant to you. And that's because this is evergreen information. Somebody controls the banking function in your life. I'm here to promote the idea that you can control the banking function and you can profit from it. I mean, what if you could keep all the money you ever earned? What if you could keep all the money you ever earned? Well, here's the highlights. I hope that you enjoy.
The insurance company keeps your cash value and you only get the death benefit.
So this is a misunderstanding of the relationship in a whole life policy. So when you pay premiums into a whole life policy and you own this policy and you just own it, while you are living, while you're paying premiums, there is a guaranteed death benefit and other things. But you have this death benefit guaranteed into the future. What you and the insurance company both hope is far into the future so that you'll be paying premiums for a long time. And, from the consumer side, you'll have the access and use of your policy, which is great because you can enjoy dividends from the company. You can enjoy access to cash value, which means policy loans, policy withdrawals, access to capital, compound your premiums forever into the future over your whole lifetime. Lots of great things. It's the ideal asset, in my opinion. There are 16 characteristics that make a properly structured whole life policy with a mutual company that pays dividends the ideal asset. But this misconception, this misunderstanding about the relationship of premiums buying you a death benefit into the future, guaranteed death benefit in the future, well, there's something in between those two. Because from the day that you pay your first premium, you have that guaranteed death benefit, which is hopefully and theoretically far into the future, which means that all along this timeline, you are going to have a cash value because of that much greater future death benefit. You're going to have an increasing cash value over your lifetime until you die. And that cash value is misunderstood, because it is seen as its own standalone entity. And that's because people are, and that's why we have this channel and maybe in particular this particular playlist of information to address these mysteries and misconceptions. So again, here's how this works. When you pay premiums, those are typically level. You've got this future significant death benefit guaranteed. Every time that you pay, every day, in fact, weekends, holidays, doesn't matter, your cash value increases because it must eventually equal that future guaranteed death benefit. So to say that there's a death benefit and that there is a cash value is correct. Those are aspects of this contract, of this policy for sure. But at any given point, the cash value is merely a net present day representation of that future greater death benefit. So yes, the company, when someone dies, doesn't send two checks, one for the cash value, one for the death benefit, because the death benefit is represented net today in the cash value. So the cash value is just a representation. I mean, if it's $500,000 in the future, well, it's not $500,000 today. It's something less than that. But it grows and it gets closer and closer to equal that number eventually. So they are misguiding, or they're at least misunderstanding themselves, these financial gurus, when they say that the insurance company is going to keep your cash value. No. When you have a whole life policy, it has a guaranteed death benefit, and that guaranteed death benefit has a cash value today that represents the future greater death benefit itself. And the beauty is, for those that are practicing infinite banking, you can leverage that cash value via policy loans for financing the things in your life, in your business, or in your investing. Set it and forget it. Wait, no, don't set it and forget it. Setting it and forgetting it. That's a very popular saying in the financial world. I know that I heard it coming up through life, perhaps in particular when it comes to qualified plans, but be that as it may, regardless of where you are in liking qualified plans, not liking qualified plans, this asset, that asset, this investment, the other asset, I'm not making any advice here. What I'm doing is saying, for those that are interested or already on the way of becoming their own banker, I believe that for those that do have a set it and forget it mentality, and also for those that do not want to just set something and forget it, meaning they perhaps think along the lines of the scripture that Nash uses, Matthew 25, the parable of the talents, digging a hole, burying money, not doing anything with it from fear, what have you. But perhaps you want to be in the driver's seat, you want to be in control. Here's where I think there's some middle ground, which is really interesting when it comes to those that are either vetting or are already implementing the infinite banking concept. The product itself, and there's a difference between the product and the process. But let me focus on the product for a second for those that are set it and forget it minded folks that just want to have good things, that do their thing, and it's expected and guaranteed. So, okay, let's talk about that. The product of a properly structured whole life policy with a mutual company that pays dividends allows you what? It allows you to now own, and for the rest of your life, a self-collateralizing, appreciating asset where you can pay a level amount of premium. You get to pay. You get to decide. You get to pay a level amount of premium for the rest of your life. So that's a way for you to lock in what you get to pay. You know what it's going to be. And there are going to be guarantees in a properly structured whole life policy with a mutual company that pays dividends for the whole rest of your life. You can know what cash value is going to look like, death benefit is going to look like, what your guaranteed rights of access and control and growth and compounding and more happen to be. So it's a great way to set it and forget it by owning that type of a product. Now, for those that want to be in the driver's seat, for those that want to call the shots, for those that don't want to abdicate their opportunities to someone else, great. If you're on the way of becoming your own banker or you're vetting getting started, the process, which is more important, I will say that, the process of becoming your own banker, of implementing the infinite banking concept, is what allows you, actually encourages, compels you not to abdicate things to other folks, but for you to be the one paying yourself with interest, recapturing the money. Again, you have that control, you have that right, you have that opportunity and ability to account for the banking function in your own life for yourself. Never, ever retire. Here, I'm not here to make decisions for you, but I would ask you, if you bring up, like prospects and clients do, the possibility of retirement, I want to know, what do you mean by retirement? So my question to you is, what do you mean by retirement? Because I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I want to ask, what do you mean when you say retirement? Because I do certainly want to have passive income in the future, meaning I want to be able to generate and access passive income. I want to have been able to put my money to work for me so that maybe I don't always work in the same way. Although, and even just this week, I've listened to a very interesting interview with Warren Buffett. And is he in his 90s? I mean, yes, he's in his early 90s. And he has the same schedule, same plans. And Nash had a great example in his life. And his mentor, Leonard Reed, did as well. And I've read about other folks like Einstein, who was scheduled to give a talk to some folks right prior to his passing. So what I'm saying is I do have this mentality now. And you can read about it in Rabbi Daniel Lapin's book, Thou Shalt Prosper. He has a chapter called Never Retire. So that's why I use that phrase when I open this video up, never retire. But it's a mentality. So again, I'm not telling you what to do in your future or your financial future. I am asking you to describe and to think and consider, what do you mean when you say retirement? And will you want passive income in the future? I'm with you there. So can we be growing and compounding our cash flows now as policy premiums so that on this journey of becoming our own banker, we eventually, over the course of our lifetime, are able to account for 100% of our needs of finance, including passive income into the future? Because again, once you wrap your mind around the idea, the concept, the fact that you can use depreciating dollars to fund appreciating assets, which is properly structured whole life policies with mutual companies that pay dividends. You can have those appreciating assets growing on weekends, holidays, through, all the different things that have happened over the past couple of 100 years. And that there's going to be this constant upward growth trend of your capital. When would you want that to start? How many of those would you want to have? Can that lead to passive income? Yes, absolutely it can. You should be talking and planning and implementing that if it's something that you want to experience. Down payments. The bigger, the better.
Not.
Here's my question that I don't think is being asked like it should be. Can you think of something that you would do with that $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, whatever the number is there something that you could think of doing with, not the full 20% because you just paid the minimum, whatever elsewise would have gotten you up to 20% to avoid the PMI? Can you think of something that you could do with $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, or whatever the number is, that would make more money than what the PMI is costing you? That's an honest question. I don't know your answer. I'm asking you to consider. Do you know what to do with capital to be profitable? Is there some experience, some gift, some aptitude, some knowledge, some skill that you have where you could mix that with that capital and be more productive and profitable than if you had have just liquidated that principal into a down payment? So again, I'm not saying that math doesn't work, that the way that math works, if you pay a bigger down payment, does that mean you have less to pay off over the length of time of the amortization? Yes, but what if you could do something even better? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Maybe the best thing for you is to pay the 20% and have money in your hands because you're not knowledgeable, don't want to be knowledgeable, you're not interested in doing better, you just want to play it safe and do what's conventional. Now, again, let me preface here by saying that when you're vetting or implementing the infinite banking concept, you don't have to work harder. You don't have to change your cash flows. You don't have to take on any additional risk or lose control. You can just add one step to what you're already doing and become your own banker and be that much more profitable in what it is that you're already doing. So I'm just asking you to consider, what could you do with that capital instead that would make you more profitable and not the banks? Do you even know what to do with money? I just want us to honestly introspect, unplug from the regular rigmarole of life. Let's get off the hamster wheel for a second and let's just consider, do we know what to do with money? I know what we do with money. See, you are where you are in that you are pursuing your career, you're growing your family, you're building a business. If you're some specialist, you're building your practice. If you're a business owner, you're taking care of payroll and taxes and overhead and all those types of things. If you have some investments, in most cases, we're encouraged, of course, to just send our money to other folks. We set it and forget it and pretend and hope that in 20, 30, 40 years, it's going to be there for us. So that's what I want to evaluate is I know that we're going through life, but when it comes to personal finance, let's look at the things that are purported to us as conventional and normal and good. Okay, so let's just start from the very beginning. We all earn in whatever way we earn, whatever amount we earn. What happens? What do we do without even thinking it? It'll normally happen on somebody's Thursday, somebody's Friday. Maybe it's once a week, maybe every other week, maybe once a month. I'm a former school teacher. That was once a month for me. So what do we do? What have we directed our income to do right out of the gate? If you've never thought of it this way, look at what you're paying in taxes and just recognize that every Monday that you work, every Tuesday that you work, maybe even some of your Wednesday of every week is just to pay taxes. Okay, let's walk that out in a bigger picture so that I know that you're understanding what I'm saying, just in case you're hearing this for the first time. When you look at how much we pay in taxes, you need to realize that over the course of a year, January, February, March, maybe April, maybe May, several months are just to pay taxes, and then we're getting the rest. Okay, so suffice it to say, addressing tax issues in our life in an advantageous way behooves us. Okay, anywhere where we can be growing capital, our money, growing that with compound interest, especially if we can find a place where that could happen uninterrupted. Don't worry, I'm going to get to it. And then, of course, when we think big picture about how one generation can leave tax-free windfalls to the next generation, that also behooves us. Okay, so there is a bit on taxation, and I'm not a tax expert, but we pay taxes, so it's worthy to have a discussion about it. We earn how we earn. What happens to those earnings? The very first thing, we've addressed taxes, but what happens is that don't we deposit that, maybe even automatically deposit that, directly deposit that somewhere? Where? Okay, you know, the banks, right? The credit unions, okay? Again, let me point out real quick, while we're going through this thought experiment of actually looking at how cash flows through our life, and it does flow, that entity that we send those direct deposits to is a business. That's not a nonprofit organization. That is a business. Okay, somebody owns that business. Someone profits from that business. Your credit unions, our credit unions, your banks, our banks, all the ones you know. It's a business. So you mean to tell me that we are depositing all of our cash flows into somebody else's business before we ever touch it, before we ever use it for anything. I am asking us to question that step of the process of cash flowing through our life. If you're somebody that's looking to do more than just scrape by, make do, or make ends meet, then let's have a conversation about how you can do it. Making ends meet. And certainly nobody is conventionally talking about banking, about who controls the banking function in your life. You see, that saying of making ends meet, that fits within the picture that Nash describes in his book, Becoming Your Own Banker, of the average American. The average American is bleeding out interest dollars to the tune of about 34.5%. Okay? So about a third of every dollar that we earn, we're paying out in interest. And that's money that forever leaves our hands. And I know that plenty of folks cringe, not everybody, but plenty of folks cringe when I use that phrase, bleeding out interest dollars. That's actually why I use it. That's actually why I'm repeating it right now, because it's probably going to stick in your mind like it was sticking in my mind when I first heard it said that way. So the average American is bleeding out interest dollars. That's money that forever leaves our family. So we wonder how we could be pursuing productively wonderful careers and being proactive and following the conventional wisdom of put money over here, park it in these government qualified plans, put money in the bank, conventionally finance, all those different things. And we're not getting to the root of the issue, which is who controls the banking function in your life.
I believe in this. After talking with you, after reading Ash's book, if we had questions, we would set up a call for the questions I had. You were super helpful in talking with me about my plans and about what I had to offer to start my policies. And then you helped me structure those policies to what we needed. After I just decided to do this and take this step, everything else was pretty easy. Excited to learn more about where this can go, and super excited that my son really, got involved in this early, and we have him a policy, and I feel like I'm setting him up.
If you need time, take your time, take the time that you need. But if you can, even if it's a small policy, start one and then add later. You're paying yourself in the long run. And I never really understood that growing up. So part of my plan is to pay off my car and then use what my payment is on that car to go towards another bill. For those that are listening, I'm not sure when this podcast will go out, but thank you, Jesse, for being such a wonderful friend.
I hope you enjoyed reliving some of those, what I believe are some key moments, some key points to remember, to digest. If you'd like to have a conversation about how to implement the infinite banking concept, then don't hesitate to watch our full free presentation. It's on our website. So is my calendar link where I can directly answer your questions. So you can reach us at www.durhamtalents.com. And I do look forward to that conversation. I hope you've had a pleasurable time seeing these highlights and these bloopers as we've celebrated this 3-year anniversary of being online. And I hope you have a great day. Take care.